Welcome to the official Topic Talk. Please like, share and subscribe.
Audio Jungle.
Right, Steve. I don't know if you've ever heard of the term M.A.P.S, minor attracted persons. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, that's just basically a term for getting around on social media about people that have been involved or done horrible, disgusting crimes to children.
Right. Now, in my opinion, this is the normalization of monsters, of pedos, right? And what you're finding here is the change in language. They'll call, what's next, added to the LGBTQ plus as a minor attracted person. We'll put that wee letter in there to sort of add it to the LGBTQ plus and make this a sort of a sexual orientation, a sexual preference. No, under no circumstances is this a sexual preference. The term M.A.P.S has been used by pedos to normalize the abuse of children, and that's just the bottom line of this, Steve. I think it's absolutely disgusting. Now, what you're finding, that this is taking traction. People don't think this isn't getting traction, but this is getting traction. I researched a bit of this. Just on Google, and I typed that in. I typed in minor attracted persons, and a website popped up. And this website was saying that we should be pushing or giving resources to not pedos, not nonces, not monsters, not the devil, not evil people, not disgusting human beings that don't have any place in society, but to minor attracted persons. We should be giving resources to these people, because if these people have resources and they are thinking these bad thoughts, then they've got a place to go to talk about this here, and then they won't go and harm a child. Now, I agree with that a little bit. If there's a place for these monsters to go to, these deprived, sick individuals to go to sort of to get this off their chest and not actually go out and do stuff, great. But I don't see it that way. The way this article was wrote was very, very heavy alt-left, left-wing leaning, and it was actually attacking anybody that was right-wing. So straight off the bat, they were being political. And I thought, right, here we'll go. They're into politics. They're trying to sort of change the lingo. We all know if you get into politics, you can sort of legislate things, legislate speech. Next thing, it'll be a hate speech to call a pedo a pedo. A nonce a nonce. You'll be getting arrested for saying that minor attracted person is a dirty, disgusting human being that doesn't have any place on this planet. And now what they've implemented is rights for fucking evil people. Nonsense. So I see it as this way. It's going this way, and if it's not nipped in the bud straight away, we're fucked.
I mean, that sounds similar. Over in America, they've got this housing estate. And on that housing estate, they've got all child molesters and sex offenders on one big, massive estate. And I think for the idea of America's point of view on that, is put them all into one place and we know where they are. You know, tag them so we can constantly keep a track of exactly where they're going. But initially, that was their way of dividing these sex cases away from the normal population. It sounds a bit like with what you've just said in involving with M.A.P.S. You know, maybe that's a way that this country might end up going. I don't know. It needs to be controlled, like you said. It needs to be controlled. So in that instance, people will then realise that this guy that comes off this estate, they know exactly what he is, so they can take awareness and the protection that they need to for their own children's sake.
Yeah, no, 100%, Steve. And I think I've seen that I know the place that you're talking about. They actually tried to build a park in that area, because if they built a park in the area where that housing estate in America, where all those evil, disgusting monsters live, then those evil, disgusting monsters would have had to move to a different area or put on an island, or I don't know, the bottom of the ocean probably would be the best place for them. And the judge still said it was okay for them to be there. I think, don't quote me on that. So that means, if I'm right, kids played in the park beside an area. I think it was in LA somewhere. Wasn't it LA? It was in California.
Yeah.
The kids played in a park close to where the biggest housing is, the biggest gathering of disgusting pedos ever in the world lived in this place. And the guy that actually facilitated this area done it to his own kids. So, but the only thing I will say about that is the fact that there is a place for them to live is still an ostracization, and they're not trying to condone it. They're not trying to say, oh, this is just a M.A.P.S area. They're not even using the term M.A.P.S. They're calling them dirty, disgusting monsters. But I see this worse. I see this as in, we've seen it in the 80s and the 90s, or was it the 70s and 80s with Pi trying to lower the age of consent in government. That was a legitimate thing in government. This is another wave of dirty, disgusting monsters using the left-wing politics to implement terms like M.A.P.S to desensitize what a pedo is. So then we become normalized to it, and these things are all normal, and they get to do whatever they want to children.
I mean, the only disregard I can say towards this one is, they're never going to change. They're never going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, "Oh, I'm never going to have an interest in the child ever again." That's never going to happen. So, in essence, they're insecure. But the other side to this is, if they say, for argument's sake, they built an estate in the UK and put all of these fucking nasty monsters onto that estate, they're all gathered together, and it might just take one person to come out of the woodwork and drop a bomb on that estate, and they're wiped out. But
yeah, I know. But the thing about it is, right? You're right, and I'm going to agree with you, Steve. I'm going to agree with you. I don't have any sympathy for those people, right? Now, as I said, I stated in another podcast, I'm so glad I wasn't born a dirty, rotten wronging, and you went amen to that, right?
To that one.
But is this a case of, what's the statistics of children that have had this happen to them, and then they've went on to offend with the same thing? So if that's happened, I sympathize with people that have been through terrible things in their life, and they've went on to do terrible things. But I still believe there's choices, because, for instance, listen, I'm 35. I come from a generation where I got slapped. I got a slap if I done something wrong, right? I don't slap my son. I don't, for the simple reason is, the reason why I don't slap him is because I'm projecting violence onto him on a situation that he should learn something. So if he does something wrong, like recently, he went and spent 80 quid, 80 fucking pounds on his Minecraft. Bought 80 pounds worth of Minecraft coins, because me, dumb, left my bank card in the PlayStation. I've took it off now and he can't do it, right? Now, if that was me, I'm going over my dad's knee and he's going to beat me arse. That's just what happened. And I would expect that. Now, I didn't do that with him. Now, I did get angry. I did tell him, this is a thing that you do not do. This is technically theft, son. He says to me, I didn't know what I was doing. I just kept pressing buy. So I taught him a lesson. Look, you can't do that. It doesn't matter if you didn't know. You don't have money. You're just a child. You're not out working, right? I didn't slap him. So I can't use the excuse, I was beat as a kid. I had a slap on the arse as a kid. So I'm going to go off and do this. And I understand that isn't the same level of that's not like being nonced as a kid, right? I understand that. what you're dealing with there is a sexuality thing, and at a very young age, and that shouldn't happen. But the principles still are the same. I don't hold that excuse. I was slapped as a kid, so I'm going to slap my son as a kid. Just because that happened to you as a kid doesn't give you the right or the excuse that you can do that to kids in the future. I don't buy that.
I mean, I understand. There's got to be a percentage of people that they've had it done to them in the past when they were kids. So they've been brought up to understand that that's correct or that's okay for that to happen. And then it's kind of progressed in their life. You know, as they've grown up, they've, through one unknown parent that's drummed it into them that this is okay to do. You know, there's got to be a percentage that have fallen into that category because that happened to them in the past. They're going to think that that's okay for it to happen in like their future. It's got to be a high percentage, surely, especially those that have been abused by their own parents. And then it's kind of normalized in the sense that they think that if it don't happen, that'll be unnatural.
I don't know if you've seen the one. Sean Atwood has all these guys, pardon me, but Sean Atwood has all these guys on, right, and all these girls on. And there was one girl he had on, I forget the name of the girl, and she basically was it Sean Atwood or was it James English? No, I think it was Sean Atwood. And she said that basically she came from a pedo family, and that's the way they were raised. And her dad was actually the devil, because when you looked into his eyes, his eyes were just black. And they lived on some compound or a farm, and kids would come in and they would die. And she survived all this. It was a gripping. I watched the whole thing. It was a gripping story. You know, fair play for Sean for bringing awareness to that. I know that. Listen, who isn't a view whore on YouTube? We're all bloody view whores at the end of the day. But you know, he got big. I think he got big views for that one, and you know, at least he brought awareness to the situation that this went on. And she knew of multiple bodies across some stretch of land in England, and the police didn't investigate it because this went up the ranks. Basically, actually, sort of saying what Paddy Conroy's been saying about the police being all in cahoots with one another, you know. And none of it was investigated. None of it was ever took serious. But she did claim this to happen, and I think that some sort of charges were, I don't know if any charges were brought on to the parents, but anyway, it was disgusting, and I believed her 100%. So, you know, we're living in a society, there's the underbelly, there's the criminal fraternity, and then there's another underbelly even below that, and you're seeing these people, pedo families, nonces, monsters. And I personally think what we're dealing with today is a very smart, intelligent form of a nonce that knows how to work politics, that knows how to sway agendas, that knows how to get their foot through the door with certain high-profile people, just like that pyramid behind me. You know, this, I don't represent this pyramid. This pyramid's here just for a laugh. But essentially, and then push that agenda of M.A.P.S, because once that's in there, even guys like me and you are talking about it. Even though we're against it, we're still talking about it. Do you know what I mean? And it does gain traction. It will gain traction. And then all of a sudden, in 20 years' time, you have this fucking thing attaching itself to the LGBTQ. What I will say is, I researched this, the LGBTQ plus, to their credit, completely went, get that fucking shit away from us. They turned right wing within the space of a millisecond. They put on their fucking MAGA hats for that one and says, get the fuck out of here with that bollocks fucking Nazi shit. Like, we don't want nothing to do with it. But another thing I have to say, and I just want to say it, I don't give a fuck what anybody says, right? I was in contact with a lot of the pedo hunters, right? And I says, what sort of, I don't want to give away any of the tips. I don't think this is giving away any tips, right? But I says, what sort of apps would you use? Like, where does it, because I'm not on any, I've never been on a dating website in my life. I'm old school, Steve.
I don't even go near TikTok or any stuff like that. I mean, the missus, obviously, she looks over TikTok and shows me like videos every now and again. Here, don't you think this is funny? But personally, I use Instagram. I use WhatsApp, communicating. But outside of that, it's never crossed my mind or dreamed of to download any other app because it simply wouldn't entertain me. And plus, I'm 50 years old, and the younger generation, between 13 and 16 have all these apps and that. But as an adult, it just won't cross my mind.
It's hookup culture, Steve. So basically, you can download an app, you swipe right or fucking swipe up, swipe down, whatever you. There's another one, Plenty of Fish. You go on it, and there's all these girls and there's all these men on it, and they're all hooking up with each other. Fine, right? Do whatever you want. I don't give a fuck, right? To be honest with you, right? I don't really agree with it. Hookup culture. I think it's the ruination of society. If I'm going to be honest with you, but that's it. It's not illegal. Do whatever you want. But I asked these pedo hunters, what sort of apps would you use to catch these dirty, rotten monster nonsense? And they says, no, it's always on the gay ones, like Grindr. And I went, what? Like, do you ever catch them on like the normal ones? He says, no. We would go on the normal ones and we wouldn't get a hit on that. We wouldn't, like, there wouldn't be ones texting us on that. At all, really. Now, I'm sure there's other pedo hunters that do use those apps, but they said they says Grindr, when they're on Grindr, they will get a hit on that within the space of 20 minutes. And
you wonder where these children get the ideas to download these apps onto their phone, let alone like to use them, especially like a dating app. Look, and what's being put into them children for them to want to use these apps? I mean.
Well, the thing about it is, it doesn't matter because if you're a teenage boy, maybe you're 13, 14, we all, listen, mate, come on now. You're 50, Steve, right? I'm 35. If you were 15 years of age and you had a mobile phone and you had access to women, are you telling me you wouldn't try to hook up with a woman? Of course you would.
I don't know. Going back to my youth when like I was back around about that age. I mean, between 16 and 19, I was in the Royal Navy. I mean, so maybe call me a bit slow. But it was only probably when I got to about 2021, that I started thinking about women, to be honest with you. I mean, it was my career back then first. And
I was sort of like that. It took me to my, later on to sort of do all that. I had women before that, but really think about, look at women in a different light. But it was, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, like, back in the day, we had catalog magazines. You were lucky to see a tit on a cat. Have you seen a tit on a catalog magazine? It was like, Jesus, frame this bad boy. We've got a tit. We've got a tit here. And
I think the furthest back then I'd ever gone was probably the Sun page 3. The
Sun page 3. And remember the Terminator movie where Reese, is it Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor, or they're doing, and then there's that screenshot and it's just her tit, and you're like, oh, fucking pause that quick, pause that there. It's that type of shit. Do you know what I mean? But that's the innocence. That's the innocence of young children, young boys. It's, that will do that in their teenage years. It's natural. It's normal to do those things. But today, what you have is you have these things like Grindr. It's a gay hookup app, and mostly when these guys they work on Facebook, they work on all the different hookup things too, and Plenty of Fish, whatever the other ones is. But they get most here in Ireland. Here in Ireland,
years ago, I do believe I did have a Plenty of Fish account, just for a crack. And me and my mate went on there specifically to see how quick women can block us. And that's me. Like, I had a competition with me, mate. I said, here. I said, sod these apps. I said, but come on, let's have a crack. Let's have a competition, right? Let's see who the quickest one is to get blocked by females on there. And we've done that for something like 2 months. Just for the crack. We just wanted to see how quickly they could block us. I mean, that's how I looked at that app, whereas other men would look at that seriously, hoping to get a fucking woman of their dreams.
But the thing about it is, why are they getting so many hits on on Grinder? Why is this predominantly used to catch, monsters? I know a lot of gay men. I know a lot of lesbian women that aren't like that at all, that think of the same as me. Why are they using the gay apps to do it? It's maybe when it comes to young boys, they're more susceptible to being manipulated at a young age, where young girls, their brain develops a lot quicker. They're a bit more switched on when it comes to certain situations. They just naturally evolve like that. Have evolved like that. Where we're dum dums, mate. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, men are just dum dums. So it could be something to do with that, and it's just a natural sort of thing to move into that. But the whole M.A.P.S thing, man, it's absolutely disgusting. And trust me, guys, if you're listening to this here right now, right, do not accept the term M.A.P.S. It is disgusting, and it's coming to a town near you.